Bonjour. Leçon 12, the 12th lesson. Leçon 12, and it's also the last lesson in our book. So I think can be very proud of yourself. So I'm starting à la page 39, on page 39, à la page 39. So they ask here, qui aime voyager? Qui, you remember now, is who. Aime is to like, and voyager is to travel. So that's a sentence you can make yourself. Qui aime voyager? And you can also put a name in there. Paul aime voyager. Paul likes to travel. Or j'aime voyager. I like to travel. Can you remember in the last lesson we had j'aime prendre and je n'aime pas prendre. So voyager again is the infinitive of the verb. It means it's the verb that I didn't change. So even if it's she, it will stay voyager because you say who likes to travel. It's that form. Let's practice that. Qui aime voyager? Who likes to travel? Qui aime voyager? And you know what? Your first ever compréhension en français. So you have a comprehension that you can do now en français. So read it with me, and then we're going to see if you can do the questions. Bon, can you see? It's a text. Voilà. Salut! Comment ça va? J'aime prendre le train. Luc aime prendre l'avion. Paul aime prendre la voiture. Anne-Marie aime prendre le bateau. Caroline aime prendre le vélo. Marc aime prendre l'autobus. Salut, Sophie. So you can see it's like a postcard or a letter or a little note. So she starts with hi, salut, and then she greets you at the end with bye. Can you remember that salut was hi and bye? Now let's look at the questions, then we read the text again, and then we can answer the questions. So at the beginning, the letter, does Sophie ask how you are, or does she ask you your name? Numéro 2. How does Anne-Marie like to travel? Numéro 3. Who likes to travel by plane? Numéro 4. Who likes to travel by car? Numéro 5. How does Marc like to travel? And numéro 6. How does Caroline like to travel? Now you know what to look for. So let's read it again. Avec moi, read with me. Salut, comment ça va? J'aime prendre le train. I like to take the train. Luc aime prendre l'avion. Paul aime prendre la voiture. Anne-Marie aime prendre le bateau. Caroline aime prendre le vélo. Marc aime prendre l'autobus. Salut, Sophie. Let's see. Bon, voyons. Does she ask you in the beginning how you are, or does she ask you your name? She asks you how you are. Okay? How does Anne-Marie like to travel? By what? By train, by boat, by car? Look there, Anne-Marie aime prendre le bateau. So she likes to travel by boat. Who likes to travel by plane? Let's see. Who likes to travel by train? By plane. Have we got it? Luc. Luc. There they say Luc aime prendre l'avion. Who likes to travel by car? Qui aime prendre la voiture? Let's see. Who's that? Paul. Paul. How does Marc like to travel? Where's Marc? How does he like to travel? Can you see that? Marc aime prendre l'autobus. L'autobus. That's the bus. He likes to travel by bus. And then how does Caroline like to travel? Caroline, let's look for Caroline. She likes to travel by vélo, by bike, by bicycle. So now that's the last thing that you can now put at your speech. You can say, j'aime prendre le bateau, j'aime prendre l'avion, or j'aime le vélo, or whatever. So then you've got a lot of things and you've got a long speech, and I would like you to practice that so you can surprise me when we see each other again. Ça va? Bon. Last page. C'est page 40. So page 40 is again our mot caché. So you have to look for the following words. See if I read them, if you can remember the meaning. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Train, avion, vélo, bateau, voiture, autobus, transport, je prends, et j'aime. And then remember to write your time. So if you turn the page again, you'll see that there is a list of vocabulary. So maybe you can just cover the English when you're finished with the book, when you're done with the book, you can cover the English and see if you can remember all these words, because these are all the words that we used in the book. And then voila, if you turn again, there's all the answers. So if you miss something, or you miss something in class, or maybe we didn't mark something, or something was missing, you can go through your book and you can mark all the answers. And then next year, or next time when I see you afterwards, I hope it's not next year, next time we can go to a new book. There's a second book, Cool Kids Speak French, number 2. Okay, my story for today is, I told you about the French, the aircrafts and the airplanes and so on, and that the French aviation people, they made the Mirage, and they also made a very, very fast aeroplane they call the Concorde. I think the boys will know that, the Concorde. They don't use the Concorde anymore, but it was very, very, very fast. But it's too expensive. So you know what? A Mirage is a supersonic plane, and it flies very high. And you know, when you fly very, very, very high, it's white. If you're there, you can't actually see. It's like looking, when you sit outside and you do your work and the sun shines on your paper, and you look up, you're blinded. Or when you look in the snow or something, and something's in your eyes, and you look up, then you can't see. So when you're up there so high in your Mirage, then the pilots, if they look up and they look around them, and then when they look down again, they're completely blind for a few seconds. So they can't see the control panel. And in there, with that speed, it's very important. So it is too white. It's very white, so they can't see. So they ask the French people, or the French aircraft people, or the aviation people, to make them glasses that breaks down the rays. So they made them glasses. And you know what they call it? They call it Ray-Bans. And you all know that Ray-Bans is a very good sunglass, and it's very expensive. Now that comes from there. That was developed there first. So rayon are the rays of the sun, rayon, and bannir means to banish. So Ray-Bans actually comes from the word to banish the rays of the sun, and that's why it's called Ray-Ban. So when you walk past a sunglass shop, look in the window if they have a Ray-Ban there. Maybe your dad or your mother, or maybe you've got Ray-Bans. So that's where it actually started. That's why it's so good, because it blocks, it banishes the rays. Ça va? C'est très intéressant. And then before I say goodbye, I don't know when you're going to stream this lesson, or when you're going to hear that. But listen, on the 14th of July, now let's see if you can remember what is that in French. Le 14 juillet. It is the French Bastille Day. Bastille Day is the French national holiday. Now remember, earlier years, the French didn't have a democratic government. They had a king and a queen, and now later on in the later years, But the king and the queen, or the last king and queen, the few last ones, but especially Louis XVI, Louis the 16th, and Marie Antoinette, they weren't very kind to the people, and they actually spent a lot of the people's money in their palace and on their friends and on their parties and on things that were not necessary. So the people were very upset, and the king and the queen didn't want to listen to them. And I don't know if you know, but once when they asked Marie Antoinette, the queen, that they don't have food, so she said, they said that she said, we don't know if it's really the truth, if you don't have bread, then eat cake. And that's very cruel, actually, because who can have cake if they don't have bread? But so they didn't like the king and the queen. And then on the 14th of July, a lot of the people that were very cross with the queen and the king, they stormed the Bastille prison, and they freed all the people that the king imprisoned. All the people that he threw in the prison, they freed them. So that's why it's named the Bastille Day, because then they broke the prison open. They all got free. They marched outside of Paris onto Versailles. That was the palace's name, and there they stormed the palace. And then the queen and the king, they fled, but they were caught at the border, and later on they were killed. They were guillotined. You know, a guillotine is where they remove your head. It's actually very cruel. And from that day on, France never had a king or a queen anymore. They had a president. They had a democratic government, and that's why they're so glad. So on the 14th of July, they have big festivities. They dance in the streets. They have all parades and everything. So if you can see something on the television, or maybe you can Google that, you'll see they've got the French flags and the French army, and they've got a lot of parades. So if it will be this year, I don't know, but usually on le 14 juillet, it's the Bastille Day. And with that, I'm going to say au revoir. I hope I see you soon. À bientôt.